Try that again. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
And what a fabulous turnout. I want to welcome everybody, residents and people involved to this ribbon cutting ceremony to mark the new Aqueduct Trail entrance way into and through our village here in the downtown district. What a fantastic moment of progress for this village. The vision for a new gateway has been completed. You know, it may be a rainy day and a cloudy day here in Dobbs Ferry, but it's a beautiful day in Dobbs Ferry. This is a great event, and we have a lot of people to thank, and thank you all so much for coming out to mark this occasion. The one thing I wanted to say was that this project is a great example of how Dobbs Ferry is moving things forward successfully through private-public partnerships. How we can all work together and harness the passion of those volunteers who have vision and through a combination of funding sources get things done. We've recently completed new basketball courts here in Gould Park. We started the waterfront revitalization project, and the completion of this incredible new project, this new gateway into our village, are shining examples of how progress is being made and how we're working together, and it's really a beautiful thing. And there's so many that are out there that are part of this village that volunteer, and it's really volunteers that make these things happen. And we thank so many of you that give your time to make this village such a great place and get things like this done. We want to thank everyone who took action to move this project forward. Of course, we want to thank the Friends of the Old Croton Aqueduct, and many of them are here. Thank you. Thank you very much. And all the residents and volunteers and donors who contributed your time and ideas to this, to create this vision. I want to thank Marcus Serrano, administrator for the village, who usually is not able to stand up here with us because he's always filming these things. But Marcus really coordinated really all the logistics from the village's side, and did a lot to coordinate the funding sources as well. And I'll just speak a little bit louder here. We of course always want to thank our village staff who work here every day and do such great things. We want to thank Chief Gilardi and the police who are going to keep everybody safe here today during Ferry Festa. We want to thank all the guys in the DPW department and Parks department. They're going to help to keep this clean and keep this like this for many years to come. And everybody else that's involved in this village. Couple more things here. I do like to recognize Deputy County Executive Kevin Plunkett, who's here with us today. Was here a little earlier in the week. We got a riverfront project started. We get a lot of support from the county, and thanks very much, Kevin, for coming today. And I want to thank all the representatives from the state, the county, the guys who designed it, who planned this project, and they'll be talked about a little bit more here with some other speakers for all your help in getting this done. I want to thank the Board of Trustees, Vic Golio, Trustee Golio here, representing the board, and Trustee Koenigsberg, who is the liaison to the Friends, who has been involved with this project at the board level for many, many years. And of course, especially, we want to thank Mavis Kane. Mavis came before our board with this vision. And she is a real action taker. And, she got this done. When things, funding was an issue, but we were able to close the gaps, and none of this would be possible without you, Mavis. Thank you very much. And anyone else, I want to thank anyone else that I might have missed who've helped in any way to achieve this progress. This is another example of how Dobbs Ferry truly is a village of vision, action, and progress. And the results, such as this beautiful new gateway into our community, speak for themselves. Vision, action, progress. I love that. That really does work here, though, in Dobbs Ferry. And now, it's my pleasure to welcome and introduce the Commissioner of New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, who I met earlier today. She's a really great person, Commissioner Rose Harvey. Rose, welcome to Dobbs Ferry.
On behalf of Governor Cuomo, I just want to welcome you to Old Croton Aqueduct State Park and thank you for this public-private partnership, which is an example and a model of exactly what we want with all our state parks. And, you know, it's really a good thing when people get together, they pool their resources, they take action, and they make things happen. So we really appreciate it. And, you know, state parks is all about opening them, cleaning them, keeping them safe, and making them accessible. And this project really made this trail, which is 26 miles, very, very accessible to bikers and to those who have disabilities who probably couldn't have made the transition. So thank you for that. And this trail and this state park is also an example of kind of the connections and linkages with community, with partners, with volunteers. And we really want so much more of that, and parks can be an economic engine. And this trail weaves and bobs and weaves through dozens of villages and main streets and brings those patrons into restaurants. And so it's a great partnership of the local culture, economy, and our health and happiness. And it's a really nice story. It's about making something happen, finding somebody to make something happen. And it all started with Mavis, who said, we got to fix this. And then she did a little bit of research, found the Recreational Trail Program grant, and then she and Bob Kornfeld, on the board of Friends of Old Croton Aqueduct, they got together with all of our staff, and you have some of them here with Pat and Gary, and many of our architects, Dan Seymour and Steve Oakes, and they got together and they drew up a concept, and they won the award for $157,000. And then guess what? All of you came out, and it was a 20% match, and you all matched it and made it happen, because without the match, we would have never put it through. And then the mayor stepped forward in a very big way, because some of this land is not state land, it's village land. And if we had to transfer the land over to the state, it would have taken maybe a year, 2 years, and the project would have stopped. But the mayor, he stepped in and said, we'll do it, we'll make money available. So it's the story that we want to see in all of our state parks. And we thank you, and it gives us hope that with such generosity, such energy, such initiative, that we can do this with all our state parks. And we really, really appreciate it, and thank you. And with you, we'll take very good care of it to make it part of your community.
I guess you all know who I am. But I've got to tell you, this was a worrisome project, because to match $31,400 is hard, because we'd already come to the village for help with the keeper's house, and I thought, oh my gosh, everybody's going to say, not Mavis looking for money again. But before I even sent out a mailing piece, and the mailing piece, I have to say, was rather cleverly done. My former advertising colleague, I think, is here, Stan Winston from Ogilvy, from David Ogilvy. He came up with a wonderful promotion piece, and an art director from New York City put it together. But before it even got into the mail, one of our Irvington members sent me a note and a check and said, I've heard about it. I want to be the first one to make the donation. Joanna, please stand up and take a bow. Joanna is a painter, and she sent with her unsolicited donation, I hadn't even asked for money, a drawing of a young woman on a bicycle. And I just kept that on my desk, and it inspired me every once in a while when I thought, oh, we're not going to make it in time. Joanna's little painting of a girl on a bike did it. Now, another interesting donor, and I'm not sure if she's here, sent me a little note with her check, and she said, I'm sending this check with some ambivalence. And I thought, oh my, she doesn't like it. She said, the thing is, that bumpy section going down from the little plaza, I have this wonderful challenge of, can I hang on to my bike? Can I make this? Can I not fall off my bike? And then she said, just the same, I'm giving you some money because I like the promotion piece. Thank you, Stan. And so the funny thing is, I did get in touch with her last week, and I said, now I hope you're going to be here. Is she here?
Right here.
Oh, there you are. You know, I was giving her a card this morning. So now she doesn't have the fun of hanging on to her bike handles while she goes down. But she admitted this week, she said, my husband and I both love it. So there's one other donor I want to thank, and that's, now let me see if he's here. Eric Larson, are you here? Yes, Eric is here. He's wearing a hat. That's why I didn't recognize him, the wrong hat. Eric is one of our wonderful donors because his son works with Endless Trail. And Endless Trail very nicely gave us a bike to raffle off. And last year at Ferry Festa, that bike pulled in $1,000 for this project, just because people bought a raffle ticket for $5 with probably the knowledge that they probably wouldn't get it because there were so many people. So that was two important things. Is your colleague here from Endless Trail? Okay, well those are three donors that I just stood out in my mind. I'll tell you. Can I tell you one more anecdote? A former resident of Dobbs Ferry, and I won't give his name because maybe he would be embarrassed, but he used to live in Dobbs Ferry and then moved up to Briarcliff, heard about the project, and he called me on the phone and he said, is this Mavis? Yes. He said, I hear you haven't made the match yet. And so he said, how much are you behind? So I said, well, I don't know who you are, but I'll call my treasurer and find out exactly how much we still need. So I called the treasurer and he said, we need $5,020. So I said to this donor, 5,020. He said, if you do the 20, I'll do the 5,000. I just love those three stories because they tell me that it's the people that have made it happen. Because with other projects, I've gone to companies. I went to United Water for Aquafest, saying to them, I know you care about the quality of water, but we care about the history of water. And they're giving us some money for Aquafest. But when it's just guys like you, just the residents that made it happen, that's what makes this project a rather special one. So I just want to turn this over to my colleague and the original designer of this thing, Bob Kornfeld. Are you there, Bob? Yes.
Hi. I thought of a stair for this location some years back and really sort of agonized over it because in general, the aqueduct has its own historic character and we don't really like interventions. But over the years I came to think that this was actually a special place to do it for several reasons. One is that this ramp, the old ramp that was here was not only kind of unsafe and difficult, but it also created a real disconnect in the trail. And putting the stair here allows people who are walking or running to experience this kind of linear corridor that goes really all the way from the keeper's house up past Mercy College. And you couldn't really perceive it before, but now people will really have that experience. And it's also pragmatic in the sense that you have a ramp where you have wheeled traffic. I've seen people with baby carriages going up and down all day. Haven't seen that for decades. Bicycles, wheelchairs, and they're not competing for the ramp with all the pedestrians and joggers. So pragmatically it works, and it's not a ramp that sort of goes back and forth because a lot of the slope is taken up with the sidewalk. So the ramp almost looks like a regular trail. And I think it's also a special place to do it because it's the center of the village, and it really brings life and activity to this part of the village. And the other thing I think is really special about it is that it opens up this beautiful Wickers Creek Valley and the beautiful aqueduct embankment there, which you sort of didn't see before. It was kind of a dark, almost forgotten looking place. and now it's brighter. It's almost a gathering place. That's why we put the kiosk down here, and it's a place where people could gather for events without having to be on the sidewalk. And I think that it just works. It'll work well, and when it sort of weathers and the plants grow in, it really will become something that's almost unnoticeable. And we didn't want to do something that would bring too much attention to itself. We didn't want it to be a stone or brick stair that looked like something historic. It is an intervention in a historic site. So that all said, when this grant opportunity came up, it really was a fantastic experience. The state really stepped up. They did the design documents. Garrett Jobson was the designer of record. He signed and sealed them. Their whole team did such a beautiful job. It came in within the budget. It was constructed quickly. Everything went smoothly. It really couldn't have gone better. We had the support of the village, the manager, the mayor. Everyone was actively involved. They contributed money to it, and I just think it was a model project. It really could not have gone better, and we really appreciate everyone's hard work.
Hello. I'd like to thank everybody for coming today. I just wanted to point out, from my point of view, what I see on this trail when I see people walking. My favorite part of this project is the end. It's seeing the looks on the people's faces who see this finished project for the first time. But I want to thank the members of the public who put up with this construction project for an entire summer. And I would also want to acknowledge the people who worked hard on this, constructing and designing it, who don't get to see the looks on the faces of the people who come to use it. And just want to thank everybody for being here again. I'm going to introduce Patrick Zakowicz, project manager.
Thank you, Gary. Well, I'm kind of speechless because I looked at the forecast last night and it's at 80% chance of rain. And I was thinking on the way down. Yeah, not in Dobbs Ferry, although I did just feel a raindrop. Regardless, the sun is really shining on Dobbs Ferry today. This is amazing. And I want to thank our commissioner and the mayor here for their leadership, because without people like them, things like this wouldn't happen. And of course, I don't know how many people in this crowd are part of the Friends organization, but you're amazing. And it's funny, Bob talked about agonizing over the design here. I can attest to that. I stopped down, he asked me to come down and help him locate the kiosk maybe about a month or two ago. And it took us about 2.5 hours. We walked down, we walked up, we looked here, we looked there. And I think we finally came up with the right location. Great job, Bob. Yes. And behind me we have Dr. Waletsky, a great friend of myself and all of us at Parks, and obviously everyone here in Dobbs Ferry as well. If we could give her a warm welcome. I also want to say a quick thanks to the contractor that did this work, because they're often forgotten. I don't believe anyone from Contech is here. Yes, we do. There we go. Okay, welcome. As an architect, you know, I see lots of things out there, and I can tell you that your firm, your company did a remarkable job, and you really took a personal interest in this, and I think it really, really shows. So thank you. And lastly, I would just like to point out a few people from Parks that were heavily involved. Dan Seymour, what a remarkable guy, and it's because of him we have these beautiful planted areas. These trees, and it's been great working with Bob and with Mavis. If we think of them as clients, you couldn't ask for a better client than we had for this project. But thank you very much, everyone. Thanks for coming. Thank you.
going to cut this ribbon. By the way, the green ribbon came from Flowers by Carol. I went into her shop yesterday. I had gone to the little stationery shop in Dobbs Ferry, and they had only that little skinny stuff, you know, that turns into little curls. And so I thought, oh, Flowers by Carol, they did my son's wedding. They should give me some free ribbon. So I'll ask for anything free, as you probably gather. Anyway, I think we're ready for that part, and I'm going to ask the mayor and the Commissioner Rose Harvey to take 2 pairs of scissors, and one will do the blue, Harvey will do the blue, and Rose will do the green, and the opening will be officially open.
I'm doing blue.
You're doing blue.
No, you need to get it.
Water, right?